I've got 5:15. It's May 26th. We're in the Tom Baker Room of the City County Building. This will be the Board of City Commissioners meeting. But first, we'll ask Chaplain Carr for invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, people in the audience, please bow your heads as I pray according to my traditions. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that we have to serve this community in the various ways that we do. We ask, God, that you protect all of our city workers, all of our first responders as they fulfill their calling. We ask, Father, that you'll be with the leaders in our nation, in our state, and in our community, that you'll be with them and that they will guide with godly fear. I ask, Father, tonight that you'll be with our commissioners in this meeting. I pray that you will guide and direct them. I pray that they will look towards you for wisdom. Be with the citizens of our community, protect and watch over them. Thank you for providing for them. And Father, may everything that is said and done this evening be seasoned with your grace, your mercy, your compassion, and your love. And may we have your heart as we govern this great city. We pray this in the name of your Son. Amen. If you can, please stand. Cover your heart with your hand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners.
If we can call the meeting to order by calling roll, please.
Commissioner Risch?
Here.
Commissioner Zenker?
Here.
Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Commissioner Cleary?
Here.
Mayor Schmitz?
Here. Our first item is an award presentation. If Lauren could make the introduction, and we have the award.
Thank you. Mayor, Commissioners, the Historic Preservation Commission wants to recognize the efforts of residents and businesses whose efforts support the City of Bismarck's historic preservation efforts. This includes the education as well as the raising awareness of history and historic preservation within the Bismarck community. This is the second year of the Historic Preservation Award, and the Historic Preservation Commission is very excited to be able to recognize achievements that support and promote these efforts. The Bismarck Historic Preservation Commission selected Chris Anderson for the 2026 recipient of the Bismarck Historic Preservation Award for his recent presentation on the history of the Bismarck Fire Department. This effort increased public awareness about the Bismarck Fire Department, showcasing photos, items, and facts about the department and its firefighters that were not well known beforehand to the community. Mr. Anderson mentioned that he had a lot of support for this presentation, both from his wife, who let him practice the presentation many times beforehand, as well as from the whole fire department, who supports his efforts. With that, I'd like to present the award to Mr. Anderson. Would you be able to get a photo as well?
Certainly. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I was at the presentation that Chris made about the history of the fire department. He just did an excellent job and explained the fire. What, Chris, was it 1898, 1888, something like that. But anyway, it was a horrendous fire, took down most of downtown Bismarck. And but I was there at the library, and thanks for what you do. And Chris is very active with the old fire truck that's being restored, and he's even driven it. So, Chris, thanks for what you do.
Thank you. All right. We are now to public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak during this period on prior agenda or this agenda on the consent agenda or something that's not a public hearing, please come forward, state your name, and identify what you're talking about and sign in. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Seeing no one and hearing no one, the public comment period is closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes with regard to the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Commissioner Conley?
I'm not going to pull it this time, obviously, on D3, but I approve of everything else on it except for that. My vote will be accordingly.
I think you'll need to pull it.
If you're not going to vote on that, yeah.
I'm going to vote, but
Okay.
it'll be because of that.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
So do I understand this right? You're going to vote no on the consent agenda? Well, then I think we have to pull that off because the consent agenda has to be passed by unanimous vote, as far as I know.
It doesn't, I voted no before.
Well, I don't think that's right, though. Do we have a,
We have a city attorney who said it's okay.
well,
Yep.
never seen it. Okay,
Okay.
let's go with it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we're going to call roll.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
No.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Rish?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we move to the regular agenda, and it's to consider a request to receive a presentation from the Bismarck Mandan Leadership Programs group on a downtown beautification project, and I don't know who is, I'm told Whitney is not. She handed it off.
Mayor Schmitz, you have that correct. She is definitely a huge part of our group, though, so I want to make sure she gets recognition that she deserves. Before we get started, Mayor Schmitz, commissioners, just want to briefly introduce our team here really quick. My name is Alex Kowski. I'm the new VP of Economic Development over at the Bismarck Mandan Chamber.
Good evening. My name is Sydney Helgeson, and I'm the Talent Attraction Specialist at the North Dakota Department of Commerce. And then, like we mentioned, Whitney is here from the City of Bismarck on our team. And then we also have Emily and Matt that are both with MDU Resources. And then Charles Reichert, who couldn't be with us tonight, but he is representing Aspen Realty.
And on top of all of that, we're all members, or should say graduates of the Leadership Bismarck Mandan program that recently graduated here in the middle of May. Getting started here. So yes, here today to talk about the Downtown Bismarck Beautification Project. Project overview. Part of that leadership program is to identify a project as a group and see if you can kind of take that to the end, something that promotes Bismarck, promotes economic development in the area. And when we were looking at a lot of ideas, there's so many ideas that come out of that, some hundreds of millions of dollars that I wish I could stand up here today and ask for, but we have to be realistic, right? We have to start somewhere. So our group wanted to really focus at something of where can we start and what can we take that idea to. So our project, we feel, really supports that economic growth for Bismarck while also improving the residents of Bismarck and visitors' experiences while in Bismarck. So getting to our project description, as you can see here, that lovely planter box, we'd like to do a lot of that. Our goal is to enhance downtown appeal and vibrancy in Bismarck with the planter example shown on the slide. In a perfect world, we have all the funding we need, and we ask for hundreds, if not thousands of these spread throughout Bismarck, the Bismarck community. That's not realistic, right, to start. So we really had to find an area to start, and that's where you'll see in the next slide, we're not there yet, but our scope of our phase one project. We also didn't want to rush this project through, and that's why we wanted to start and make sure we do everything the correct way. We start with a small scope and see where we can get that project to grow. Hopefully the feedback on this is good. Hopefully the community sees the value of having something as small as these planters added to bring downtown Bismarck, kind of revitalize it a little bit, and more importantly, right, show that we have one heck of a good city, and something like this just further promotes how great of a community we live in.
So like Alex mentioned, we feel really strongly about the city of Bismarck, and we want to do what we can to enhance the experience for residents, visitors, businesses. So to start out this project, we're looking at Main Avenue from 6th Street to 1st Street. So of course, a lot of people have a different vision of what downtown Bismarck is. But with just talking to community partners, people at the city of Bismarck, the Downtowners Association, we really wanted to complement some of the other efforts being done in downtown Bismarck. And so between some of their existing efforts with native grass plants and some of those efforts on 3rd to 1st, we decided from 6th to 1st Street would be the area where we could have the biggest impact along Main Avenue. So like Alex mentioned, this is the planter that we're looking at. One big reason we were drawn to these planters is it has a 30-gallon water reservoir, which saves 50 to 80% of that traditional labor and maintenance expense. And so that's really why we were drawn to these. We don't want something that has to be watered every single day because that's not necessarily reasonable for the forestry department to take on. So with these planters, it has that built-in reservoir system. A lot of great benefits. You can see the specs here. I obviously won't go through all of them because we want to keep you guys on time, but they're a good size. They're winterized, they're stackable, so really feasible for downtown Bismarck. They're made for downtown areas. So we want to just show a quick snippet of a small area of downtown before, and then what it might look like when we add in a planter. So it really enhances already that one piece of sidewalk, and we're looking to do approximately 30 of these on that Main Avenue strip. And so we're really excited about what that could look like. Of course, we're from the Leadership Bismarck Mandan program, but for this to be a long-term sustainable project, the 5 or 6 of us can't keep this going. And so to really enhance the sustainability of this project, we wanted the city of Bismarck to be our key stakeholder in this. So we've been working with them every step of the process to determine what that scope was going to be, to determine exactly where those planters will go along Main Avenue to make sure we're following ADA compliance and any regulations. So not only will we be going to the budget committee next month to ask for funding for this project, we're also hoping to work with forestry to water the plants as well as store the planters at Public Works in the winter months. Another important stakeholder in this project is the Bismarck Mandan Garden Club. They have a really good club here in Bismarck, and they were excited about this project and giving us insight for the actual design of the planters because we're not experts on flowers. So they gave us great insight there and also plan to assist in helping coordinate volunteers to actually do the planting, which includes outreach to NDSU Extension Master Gardeners Group as well. And then, of course, getting support and insight from Bismarck Parks and Rec. So like I mentioned, the Bismarck Mandan Garden Club actually provided a design for the plants. So they took into consideration, the sun and the shade ratios in downtown Bismarck. They chose plants that wouldn't be toxic if a child or a pet were to take a bite out of a plant. So they really put some consideration into that and helped us out in supporting the project. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Alex, but we're really excited to see what this could look like and what it could bring to downtown Bismarck.
Now, when we talk timeline, as a group, we wanted to roll this out this year. We also didn't want to end up on Bismarck Reporting News and have a non-good thing be said about our idea of the project. So we really wanted to take a step back and make sure, nope, we're going to try to think of everything before we have to actually put this in motion. So you can see just the snippet here of the timeline, and we're at that city commission meeting piece of it now, looking to order materials sometime this fall in preparation for implementation in May of 2027. Looking here at the budget, and we could talk for hours on this, Matt created all of our budget stuff for us, but just briefly hitting on upfront cost, all in to start, is about $16,265. That kind of gets the project off the ground, gets the planters ordered, all of those startup costs, and then roughly a $6,000 ongoing annual cost. You can't plan for everything, so at the same time, while we recognize we're going to have those fees, we also have been looking for community sponsorships that can help us get more of the project done or maybe help the project get underway if we run into some other financing troubles. So all in all, this was a 45-minute presentation when we gave it originally. We wanted to keep it very short for you guys and just go high level. Our main ask to the city is we're just asking for the initial funding and possibly a future budget item if the city wishes to remain a partner long term. So with that, I know there's not a lot of time. Charles Reichert's email is listed there. If there's any questions, follow-up questions, I can answer a few here, but I know there's a lot of other items to get to today. So I'll open it now for any questions.
Commissioners, Commissioner Conley.
So I believe we give the Chamber EDC from this table 250,000. There's an ask to increase the funds that are going into the Vision Fund, which would also bolster things around. I would say take it out of those budgets that we've already allocated, and that, or form a business incremental district, because I've been in conversations over the last couple of decades about that it's been talked about, but hasn't been formed in the downtown area. But just my thoughts. Good presentation, but
Thank you for that.
we, taxpayer dollars can go in other places, in my opinion.
Other comments? Commissioner Risch?
Personally, I love flowers, and I think it'd add a lot to downtown. I was actually walking around downtown today, and I met this Miss Hofer. She's a new employee for us with the forestry, and she was weeding and watering. We have a number of planters around down there. But I don't think it's a crazy idea. It's not in our existing budget, right? The $22,000. I mean, where will we get the money from? Not that I'm opposed to it. I'm just.
So in the current budget, there was, for call for projects, there was money set aside for signing Welcome to Bismarck that nobody grabbed onto. So those would be dollars that are available there. My comments related to this is I think that this is a great program that Bismarck, Mandan Chamber puts on for leadership, Bismarck, Mandan, and getting people involved in leadership. And I believe it deserves support on a regular basis beyond the economic development money. To me, this is truly trying to inspire young people to get involved in our community, which is the future of our community. But I think it's appropriate to put it through to the Budget Committee for 2027. As far as the planters for this year, I think because nobody has brought a sign Welcome to Bismarck project forward, there probably is dollars available if we wanted to make that as part of our action item today or not.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I got a question for Alex. Logistically, even if we said, yes, you get the full amount right now, is it too late? I mean, by the time you buy the planters, get them set up, people have got their flowers pretty well planted right now, or what were your thoughts there?
Commissioner, for the rest of this year, we're not focused so much on getting the planters set up and the plants in for this year. It would be something that we would look to implement come spring of 2027. Again, selfishly, yes, I would like to get some planters and some plants in there. I also want to make sure this is done the correct way and that we don't rush through anything.
So, I mean, I think you should put it through to the Budget Committee, and the Budget Committee the budget will be heard this summer, and if all of that is approved, I think then you'll have the opportunity to secure the planters this fall, most likely, because we could probably figure out how to handle that at that point in time.
Yeah, if you're not going to do anything with this year's budget, there's nothing for us to amend or approve. If you're going to go through 27, the process is in place. Have at it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Again, I want to encourage leadership group teams to bring ideas for the entirety of our community, not just downtown, but the entire, so like if this could be done elsewhere, maybe we get somebody who's willing to sponsor it besides the city. So, thank
Mayor,
you.
Commissioners, thank you guys.
Moving to item 4B, consider request to receive an update on the appeals from the April 7th Board of Equalization meeting. Allison.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. At our City Board of Equalization meeting that we held on April 7th, it was a request of the board that evening that I come back and give you an update on what happened with the appeals for the appellants who showed that evening. Just a little bit of history on it. For 2026, North Dakota Century Code did change, so everyone received a valuation notice this year. Previous years, property owners only received those if their value increased by a certain amount. So everybody should have received a notice of increase. Those were mailed out Friday, March 13th, and we did hold our board meeting on April 7th. Before our meeting, we spoke with roughly 200 property owners via phone or email, and 60-plus properties were reviewed, and we adjusted 61 of those. 7 of those we recommended no change on. And then we had 24 different property owners attend our meeting on the 7th. And with those, we did not have information from them prior to the meeting to be able to make any recommendations other than no change on their value. So we reached out to all of the property owners who attended the meeting that evening. And from that, we did have 8 that scheduled the review of their property. And we did recommend a valuation change on those to the County Board of Equalization because we found an error in their property information that we did have in our data. We had 5 different property owners that did not return our call, so we have not had a chance to visit with them any further than the meeting that evening. 8 different property owners visited with our appraisers, talked to them about their concerns, visited about things, and chose not to have an appointment, and were comfortable with the information they received from the appraisal team after that. We did have 1 property owner who scheduled an appointment, but we did not find any errors in our property data and were able to show them sales to support their valuation. And so we made no recommendation to change on that. And then 2, it was 2 people that scheduled the review, but no values were changed on. And 1 property owner we called back, and they didn't like the information we had to share, and I'm unsure if they're going to appeal at the county level or not. In speaking with the county, I have not heard that they've reached out to them at this point. But we did have the appellant with all the land parcels. They contacted us before the meeting, but scheduled a meeting with us afterwards. We have made a recommendation on 7 of those lots, and they've agreed to those changes. I believe the rest of the parcels on their list, they are taking to the county board, which is next Monday, the 1st of June. But I'm not for sure because speaking with the county, they haven't received any other information from them in a couple of days. I know they've been in contact, but they were going to provide them with some more information. And as of this afternoon, I don't think the county's received any additional information from them. So I'll have to wait and see on Monday what they might show up with. So with that, we had roughly 171 parcels that appealed, and that's like 0.6% out of our total parcel count, which was 26,875 taxable parcels for 2026. So did you have any questions for me on any of those appeals specifically, or?
Any questions?
Not really a question. I just appreciate the extra time. I know that it's a heavy lift for you guys, and so going back after the meeting, and then I appreciate you coming to us and giving us an update. So thank you.
Not a problem. You're welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Connolly.
I've seen it to where some people have posted it and things to where their valuation increased so much that it chewed up their entire $1,600 credit. How many of those are there approximately, if you know?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head, and I wouldn't know if it's going to eat up their credit either, because the taxes that credit will be applied to don't come out until this December.
Okay.
So
Could we get that like in an email for all the commissioners at the table at a later date, or?
I would only be able to use the most current mill levy. I don't know what this next year's mill levy is going to be.
Okay.
So until all budgets are set and everything, I can tell you how many people's valuation changed by a certain percentage, but I can't say how many of those would be more than what their credit they'll receive. But the valuations changed because of the market or an improvement they made to the property. It wouldn't be because they applied for the credit, and our office has no idea who applies for those at all. That strictly goes through the county.
Okay.
And I think it's also, the mill levy is probably going to go down because the average value of property went up. It's more than 3%. So I don't think it's not, I get it, it could happen, as you've described, Commissioner, but it's, There will be
There will
some.
be properties that, not just in Bismarck, right? This is a state issue.
Yeah.
There will be properties that, based on their valuations and those sales, that will, between us, the county, schools, and parks, when those valuations come out, will absorb that $1,600 credit. That, write it down right now. I
I'm
told
not
you so.
I'm not disputing that. I think the math is entirely
Oh,
plausible.
and you're gonna have to, at budget time, I won't be here at budget time, but you will have to look at a mill reduction to be able to offset what the max is with the 3%. Mathematically, it just doesn't, I don't see how it works by holding steady.
Yeah. So, the only request I would have is that we get the letters out to the property owners, and you and I talked about that earlier, so that they actually have it more than a week before our hearing, so that if they really want to come and visit with us, they can do that, along with making sure they know what to bring to
Sure.
that adjustment hearing, basically.
Yeah, and we did mail those on the 13th, and our meeting wasn't until the 7th of April. Fortunately, we can't control the post office, but we will look at our schedule for this next year. We've scheduled our 2027 meeting for April 6th, and so we'll look at making sure we can get them out as early as possible again this next year, and we're working on an insert to put with those notices, so hopefully we can encourage property owners to contact us before the meeting.
Mayor Commissioner Ellison, but that form is determined by the state, right?
The form is a state form,
Right.
yes.
So, I mean, there was some miscommunication on the form just because of what was supposed to be on there. Did you take those concerns that we had at that Board of Adjustment, or that meeting, back to the state about changing up that to give those homeowners more information?
Yeah, we will be sharing that with the state. I don't know if they'll be updating the form at all, but it doesn't hurt to share with them that information, and it could help in the future. So,
Thank you. Anything else? Allison, thank you.
thank you.
Item C, public hearing on ordinance 6662, the Land Development Code, and repeal and replacement of Title 14 zoning and subdivision ordinance in the Bismarck City Code of Ordinances, and public hearing on ordinance 6663, a new zoning map corresponding to the districts of the Land Development Code. Daniel.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. So as you called out, Ordinance 6662 is a land development code. This is our zoning and subdivision ordinance that is in Title 14. It is a complete rewrite of that section, so it's not a strikeout and underline. It's a new ordinance, as well as a new zoning map, which is Ordinance 6663. As your previous presenter mentioned, we did have a 45-minute presentation that we gave to the Planning and Zoning Commission. However, this will be the executive summary for this board. But we are certainly available for any questions that you may have, or from the public that may come up through this. Elizabeth Garvin from Clarion Associates is the lead consultant who has been helping us with this, and she'll give the project summary, and I'll be available as well to answer questions.
Commission members, I'm Elizabeth Garvin with Clarion Associates. We've met a few times in the past. I have a really brief presentation this evening. So we have a new unified code, the new Bismarck code. Our big instruction as we started this project was to implement the city's policies expressed in Together 2045. So the city set policy guidance for us, and the project was to put in place regulations that result in development that implements the plan. So we had some outcomes in the regulations that we think are pretty important to point out at this point in time. Starting at the top, the new code increases the range of housing types allowed in all the zoning districts, all the residential zoning districts. Within the new code, we reviewed and expanded the types of uses allowed in most of the districts, and also created an updated use table to make the code easier to use for applicants. We set regulations form-based districts for downtown that reinforce the character of downtown Bismarck, not stopping development or redevelopment, but more so putting some bumpers on that development to make sure that it fits within the character of the area where it's being developed. So it works with the downtown, but it doesn't have to be mimicking things that already are downtown. We resolved 85% of problems with non-conforming parcels, which is a really like small, in the weeds zoning thing. But nonconformities are an issue for property owners that want to redevelop. And we wanted to use changes to the code to get some of that out of the way. So now it's easier for those property owners to make changes as they go forward. We eliminated the subdivision public hearing requirement unless a subdivision application is submitted with a rezoning application. We worked to make the code more user-friendly, and not for people who use it every day for their jobs, but for people who are in it once or twice, maybe have an application, something to do with their property, and they want to be able to answer some of their own questions. Of course, staff is always available and really good at answering questions, but the code can do some of that work also. So you'll see more tables and more charts and more plain language. It's a legal document, but it doesn't need to be written in a way that sounds like it was done by a committee of attorneys. No offense to all the attorneys in the room, but it's okay. We can do this way. We looked for opportunities to balance objective or measurable standards with flexibility. The objective standards set the expectations, what the city expects to see, what the community expects to see for development. But the flexibility recognizes that each property may have some site-specific challenges. So we don't want to say in the code, here's what the city wants to see, and then say, oh, sorry, you can't develop it. So there are ways to take different applications through the code. We focused on creating a code that's fair and predictable for applicants and the city, and that again comes back to expectations. We spent a lot of time with our working group, which represented a broad range of citizens and developers and business owners in the community, and we had conversations about what sort of outcomes will this code lead to, and are these outcomes that are what the city wants to see and what Together 2045 calls for. And then finally, just at this really high-level list, and you have a summary memo in your packet that gives more details about the changes. We looked at the current process, looking for improvements or for updates or even opportunities just to make small fixes along the way. One of the adjustments we made was a small change to the Planning Commission composition, just to eliminate one of the county seats on that. So it was pretty wide-ranging, holistic. We wanted to look at both the words and the outcomes and the people involved and make sure we were lining everything up properly. There is also in your packet a summary of the outreach process, but we just want to hit on some of the highlights. So I mentioned that our our steering committee had a fairly broad membership. Of people who do development, who understand development, and were able to say, well, if we do this, then this. And so we had 9 formal meetings with that group across the project timeframe, but also had steering committee members involved in some of our other stakeholder meetings and our focus group meetings. We wanted to really spread their knowledge and talent across the project. We posted the entire document in segments for full community review. Anybody could go on the project website, review it, and comment on it. So that was out there and has been out there in chunks for over the last year, ever since we finished drafting that first piece of it. So that wasn't just open for steering committee members, but anybody could comment on that. We did some community-wide open house meetings, so those were open-ended. People could come in and talk about whatever was on their minds. We did a series of stakeholder and focus group meetings, so those are more specific, talking about different topics and kind of getting feedback on that. Enjoyed ourselves at the street fair twice during the project, in addition to some other broader meetings. And then we updated you. We updated Planning Commission, and we went to a Joint Commission meeting for one update. We also kept a project website current throughout the project, so it had the calendar and the documents, and it explained opportunities for folks to be involved in the project and submit their comments. So the goal was to make room for people to be involved. We did get public involvement, and we are building on the extensive involvement that you saw in Together 2045, because that's the document we're implementing. So the two projects, the policy and the regulations go together. On April 22nd, we went to Planning Commission for review, and Daniel did a more extensive presentation, which is available if anybody wants to take a look at it. We came through Planning Commission with a unanimous recommendation to come to City Commission and for approval of the document, and we're here tonight for your questions, for your review, and your decision making. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit before we jump into any questions you might have, because usually at this point in time when we're doing a code update at Clarion, we hear what happens next. So what happens next is after adoption, we work with staff to do one final cleanup on the document. It may have some small typos in it. It may be glitchy because it's a Microsoft Word document, and try our best. Word still does weird things, so we'll make sure that we have a clean, lockdown document that doesn't change, and we'll give that back to staff. We will let staff do the work they're already doing on implementation. So that might be changes to forms, it might be changes to timing on conversations with applicants. We talked about the how do we do this through the project, but now they've reached a point where they need to put some of that in place. And then the recommendation that we typically make is let the code as is, with maybe some minor cleanups, run for about a year. Give it that time so people can test it, can see what's going on. You may come up with one or two things in there that you think as City Commission, wow, we have to, make an amendment right now and fix this thing that went missing, or something new that comes up, right? All of a sudden, we don't have enough in there, about some hot topic data centers or something along those lines that changes, and you want to address it, so do that. But otherwise, we recommend set some expectations. Maybe it's that you go a year, or maybe that you at least tell people you're going to live with it for 6 months. So everybody who has been waiting for it to be adopted will put their effort into figuring out what's in there, and then can come to you with recommendations for thoughts and changes. We want to say we would like at Clarion and with your staff to leave you with what you consider a living document. It's open for changes. It should be changed over time as situations change in Bismarck. And so, it may be down the road you want to put those flower planters in as an expectation for downtown business owners. That's fine. That's something you can do. So don't kind of let it sit and stagnate, but go ahead and dive in and make changes as you go. It works better if you do it that way. So, don't go another however many years we went this time. Go ahead and make the changes to it. So that's kind of the overview. I know you had plenty in your packet. I don't know if you got big picture philosophical questions or, teeny tiny nitty gritty detail questions, or if you've heard so much about the new land use code that you're ready at this point.
Questions? Commissioner Risch.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I really like the part you added about lighting, because that's been an issue for things.
Yeah.
But my question is, I have one of the constituents, his neighbor put up this light pole, shines into his bedroom, and he's got to keep his shades pulled at night. This goes into effect in October.
Yeah.
What practical impact would it have on an existing lighting? Can anything be retroactive?
That's a two-part question. For lighting sections, that is one place where we see communities, instead of saying, hey, what you have is fine until you make changes to it, we do say communities say, you need to be in compliance with the lighting section in a year or in 2 years. So we'll give you a heads up. But we're going to say you need to roll this out fast because you could be doing things purposefully or inadvertently that are causing harm to your neighbors. When it's in place, you can certainly send code enforcement out to have a chat to see if it's adjustable in any way. You could probably do that now, honestly, but you'll have a code section to enforce at that point in time. So I would say a little, neighborliness, maybe followed up by, hey, let's kick this in 2 years instead of whenever someone changes their fixture. Yeah.
Other questions? Commissioner Zinker.
Yeah, this is for Daniel, to be honest with you. So, few meetings back, we had a well building that was a hot topic. Did that exclusion get put in there?
Absolutely.
I couldn't find it, so
Commissioners-
I'm just, okay.
Oh, I'll find the page number in a minute here. Yeah, it's a use. Well cover is listed as a use that would be allowable in any
Okay.
district if it's covering a groundwater well. So
Well,
yeah, we after that meeting we
Got
made
that
that
in there?
change.
Okay. And just to expand a little bit on what was told to us, I mean, this was a huge lift, right? A few years in the making. Probably if we had Mr. Tamana come up here, he'd give us a 20-minute dissertation as to what was really supposed to happen 20 years ago. But I just want to make sure that that you're going to put in methods and means to make sure that this is continued to be flexible and continue to be updated, because as we can see, things change, just like Commissioner Risch talked about, the neighbors' lights, LEDs have changed, that type of thing. You're gonna have other issues, nosy cars or whatever type thing could come up. So I'd be curious to see what you're gonna do to make sure that those things stay modifiable and flexible.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Mayor. So, and that is one of the main changes we've made. There is a lot more flexibility built into this code that allows certain adjustments to be made for good reasons. There has to be review criteria, and if those can be met, some things can be just changed by staff, and some things that are bigger need to go to the Board of Adjustment for a variance. So there's a lot of that is spelled out, but of course the whole ordinance can change itself through your decision. I will say one thing too about the transition process. If it is approved, starting tomorrow, anyone will have the option of applying under this code. We'll have to scramble to figure out how to do it because our forms don't all reflect this new code yet. But anyone will have the option to do it right away, but it won't take full effect until October 1st. And so that's when we'll start enforcing it and when everyone will follow the same code.
Any other questions? If not, I will open the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak on this, please come forward and sign in and tell us the topic. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. I don't see anyone running forward, and I don't hear anybody, so public comment is closed. Commissioners.
I'll move we approve as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I just want to say, I know that Daniel, your team, and Clarion met with stakeholders and certainly engaged the development community ad nauseum almost, and that was very important to getting all their feedback, so I appreciate that. If there's no other discussion, I will call roll.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Thank you. Good work.
Good work.
All right, we're to other business. Is there any other business tonight? Commissioner Risch.
I just want to comment that I attended the petroleum conference at the event center last week. Amazing, 2,800 people from 40 states, 4 Canadian provinces, and it was. I learned a lot about oil production. But I talked to the head of the Petroleum Council, Ron Ness, today, and he said they had a very good experience. The event center staff were excellent, and they had a great conference, and they've already booked again for 2028. So that's a big thing, 2,800 people coming to Bismarck for a conference like that. So I just want to give the event center staff a shout out for doing a good job, and we got them lined up again.
Any other business? Not, we are adjourned. Thank you.